Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen of the world, and welcome to the Elipsis & Co. Tutoring channel, where today we will be discussing the numbers topic in the IGCSE Maths syllabus. In this video, we will continue with the topic of fractions, where we will be discussing decimals and percentages. So, without further ado, let's begin. As we stated in the previous video, fractions represent part of a whole number. However, sometimes they don't tell us the whole story of a number. Mathematicians can also use decimals to distinguish a number. Numbers in decimals form simply have a period in between them. When we say 12.5, we are just saying 12 whole numbers and 0.5 of a whole. What we shouldn't get confused on is 12.5 and 12 and 1/5. These are not the same number. What we can do, though, is convert decimals to fractions and vice versa. For example, to convert 1/10 to decimals, we simply divide 1 by 10, and we get 0.1. Inversely, we can convert decimals back to fractions. For example, let's say we wanted to convert 6.15 to an improper fraction. There are a multitude of ways to do this. However, I would recommend starting by converting the decimal to a mixed number. Firstly, the 6 is a whole number, so we can leave it alone. The only thing we need to focus on is the 0.15. And how we address them is by understanding their place value. Now, the place values of decimals are not any different to those of large numbers. The only difference is that decimal place values end in th. So, for example, the third place value from the decimal place is called the thousandths s. Therefore, 0.15 can be converted to 1500ths, which is equivalent to 15 over 100. So, as a mixed number, it can be written as 6 and 15 over 100. We can simplify the fraction down to 3 over 20, as both numbers are divisible by 5. Next, we need to convert this fraction to an improper fraction. So we just multiply 6 by 20, then we add 3, giving us an answer of 123 over 20. What about converting 1/3 to decimals? That would just be 1 divided by 3, which would be equal to 0.3333, all the way to infinity. This type of decimal is called a recurring decimal as, theoretically, a single digit or a pair of digits repeat on forever. This is often signaled by a dot or a line about the number. For example, 1/6 in decimal form is 0.16666 to infinity. This can be written as 0.16 recurring, with the dot above the 6. 124 over 999 can be written as 0.124 recurring, with a line over the 124. It's simple to convert fractions to recurring decimals, but the reverse might be a bit tricky. For example, let's say we wanted to convert 0.7 recurring to a fraction. Since we cannot simplify 0.7 recurring to a fraction, the first thing we do is equate it to something we can understand. Like, for example, the letter C. What we have just done is we have given a recurring number an imaginary value. What we need to do now is to take C and subtract it to something similar to C, so that we remove the recurring aspect of the decimal. The simplest number like this is 10 times the value of C, which would be 7.7 recurring. Now we have two equations. C is equals to 0.7 recurring, and 10C is equal to 7.7 recurring. If we subtract each value from its correspondent, we get the equation 9C is equal to 7. As all the recurring 7s cancel each other out. Now, we just divided both sides by 9, which will give us C being equal to 7 over 9, and this is the fraction of 0.7 recurring. What about converting 0.36 recurring to a fraction? That's easy. First, we equate 0.36 recurring to a letter like M. Then, we find a number like M that can remove the recurring numbers. If we multiply M by 10, we won't be able to remove the recurring part as they are not the same value. Instead, we need to multiply M by 100. That way, we get 36.36 recurring. Therefore, we will have 100M equal to 36.36 and M equal to 0.36. Subtract the two equations, and we get 99M equal to 36. Divide both sides by 99, and we get M being equal to 36 over 99. Which can be simplified to 4 over 11 as both numbers are divisible by 9. Finally, we have what are known as percentages. A percent simply means out of 100. For example, 30% means 30 out of 100, simplified to 0.30 or 3 over 10. Another example would be 0.2. Convert this to a fraction and we get 1 over 5. Multiply this by 100 and we get 20%, which is 20 out of 100.